to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Coach?
BA, how are you?
Hello, Coach Kevin O'Connell. The question is, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I just I wanted to make sure that we didn't have the voice of the Vikings picking up anything from me. A little under the weather, but we're fighting through it today.
The surrogate nature of and authenticity of our friendship is such where you could lick your finger and put it in my eye, and I would be okay. So we appreciate the kindness, but tomorrow is injury report day, and are you going to be questionable for the Colts game on Sunday Night Football? And if I look in the field house now, will I see Coach Pettin practicing card placement over his mouth for play calls? Are you questionable?
No, I think if I wasn't going to be questionable for a game plan Tuesday today, or making it on with you, I think I'm likely to be present and ready to roll Sunday night.
All right. Well, that's cool. Kevin O'Connell, weekly 9 to noon via X's and O's. And let's begin here. When head coach to head coach, when Colts head coach Shane Steichen is asked about a quarterback for this game, and he says every position is being evaluated. Is that a coach's way of trying to put a coach like you who's not feeling well on a Tuesday on Flacco and Richardson study into the game, or does it not work like that?
Yeah, I think each individual coach, especially when it comes to, if the question did pertain to the quarterback position for Shane, I think each coach kind of figures out how you want to handle that. Sometimes it's where the whole team is part of the decision. Maybe sometimes they truly are evaluating things at some other spots. All I know is, we're expecting to potentially see, both quarterbacks. I mean, Anthony Richardson's a wildly talented, so much respect for him. Really enjoyed studying him coming out of the draft, PA. And then Joe Flacco, what he's been able to do, just every single time he gets on the field, he seems to go out there and play well and, have the ability still to touch every blade of grass on the field with that arm. I came out with Joe. I remember watching him throw at the combine and thinking to myself, I better get ready to be a coach sooner rather than later, watching Joe Flacco throw the ball.
Joe Flacco, with all due respect to Anthony Richardson, because I think you may have said something like you liked Richardson into the last draft, and he goes 4th overall. So, that he goes to the Colts, but Flacco seems to be your kind of guy. I mean, it follows the plan, big arm, and granted he can't move well, but he just seems to be your kind of guy. Is that fair?
Oh, I do really. I enjoy watching Joe play because I think he's just over the course of his career, PA, you think about the success he had throughout his time in Baltimore, Super Bowl winning quarterback. And just as he's gotten into the later years at some different spots, and now what you see is a guy that is totally in command of whatever offense he's in. They've got some really nice weapons and some guys that can really do different things at the receiver position, Mo Alley Cox at the tight end position, and then, one of the best running backs in football. So I think when Joe steps into a situation like that, I think he feels like he's at the command of a pretty high power offense. So we're going to have to play well. We're going to have to, if it is Joe out there and if it's Anthony Richardson, there's just a same weapon, same everything. There's just an added element, athletically that Anthony brings to the table. But I really think it's important for us, PA, to, be really, really sharp with the way we prepare for both players. Because I imagine, we're not going to necessarily get the answer to that question, anytime soon, even throughout the week of preparation, but, we'll be ready to go either way.
Is DeForest Buckner still an imposing presence? I know he played the most recent game. I think he was out a little bit before then, but DeForest Buckner, back to the Niners days. They made that trade where they got Kinlaw, and now he's elsewhere. But DeForest Buckner, what's he like?
I was actually with him when we brought him to the Niners. That was the 1 year I was there.
Wow.
I still think he's incredibly impactful. Always has been. I think he is healthy now, kind of making his way back, and you could just feel that in there between him and Stewart. Inside, these guys are hard to move. They're explosive interior rushers, and I think we're gonna have to have a great plan, regardless of run or pass, with those two guys in there, because they cause a lot of challenges. PA, they really do, but Buckner is still the same impactful guy. You circle him on the depth chart because he can wreck the game for sure.
Hey, that last time you played the Colts, the fan has learned it was the greatest comeback in the history of the National Football League. You're down 33-0. It was the Trey Blake game, by the way. All right, 3-2. But one of the underrated facets in that equation, you guys went 3 and out into the second half. So you go 3 and out, still down 33-0. You come back and run them down at the wire. What was it once it got going? And then after Matt Ryan is stuffed on that 4th down, you swing left to Dalvin. He gets to the house right in front of you. What was it like for you, that game, calling plays and just being in that rhythm, man?
Well, I thought it was a culmination of a lot of things. PA, we had won a lot of one-score games that year. We had been pretty darn good situationally at the end of years or end of games. I thought Kirk Cousins was truly, at his best when it was required in some of the more difficult circumstances you can be in as a quarterback there in the 2-minute drills, either late in games, on the road, whatever it was. But what was so spectacular about that day was just the belief the team had. Never forget, walking in the locker room at halftime, you're feeling you're feeling about as low as you can feel, knowing that you've got to rally the troops and get these guys going. And then I hear Patrick Peterson shout out through the locker room, "We just have to score 5 touchdowns." And, when I heard him say that, some of the offensive guys responded. I heard some of the defensive guys say, "We're going to get some stops. They just got to score 5 touchdowns." And by the time I came out to address the team, there was almost like a buzz in the locker room there at US Bank Stadium of confidence. And then we just applied that to how we played, and total confidence and trust in our guys. And what a spectacular finish it was.
Kevin O'Connell's in his office on the second floor here at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. He's not feeling well, but kind enough to still join 9 to noon on this Tuesday at 11 o'clock. That's when we get Kevin each and every week, and we love it. And we also love the play of Blake Cashman. Cashy, how's Cashy doing up to this one? Is he getting better?
Yeah, he is, PA. He's he's kind of been on a timeline where we want to make sure he's healthy because he has such an impact. I think we've felt a little bit over the last couple games, especially those 2 tough ones in 5 days. You felt just what Blake brings to the middle of our pass defense, instinctual understanding how to cover ground, but yet play with a lot of poise and patience in the middle of the field, making it harder for teams to really attack depending on what coverages we play. He's a great tackler, great blitzer, and just running being the green dot has been a real beacon of communication. I think Ivan Pace has done some really nice things, continues to show up each and every week. But we've really had our mind set on getting Cash back in there with IP and really establishing that duo that we're really excited about coming into the year, and we're off to such a great start before getting a little banged up there. So we'll see how Cash works through the week. I hope to have him. I really do. And I know he's been working like crazy, PA, to be out there Sunday night.
The trickle down effect in the ultimate team game, where, just to get a first down, you got A to get to B, to get to C, to get to D. It's the ultimate team game, man. And defensively, when somebody like Cashman, is out of the equation, the trickle down effect, it's like, say you got Van Ginkel here and Metellus here and people moving around and stuff, that potentially can impact things over the long haul, right?
It sure can. There's just the way Flo and his staff has built this defense, PA. It's just playing to the identity, playing to the philosophy, but some of these impactful players that we brought here to build this year's version of our defense, they play critical roles. And when we're at full strength and you see some of those names that you mentioned, Van Ginkel, Grenard, Cashman, Hillary along the lines with Harrison Phillips and Bull and some of our young guys, and then you start talking about the safeties and the corners and that we brought here. It's an all 11 feel for the defense. I know calling the games, you probably feel it when these guys are flying around, and it seems like they're all operating as one. And we've got to find a way to get back to that. I know I'm very confident Flo and his staff and our guys, especially as we get hopefully get Cash back in there, that we'll get back to that execution and really that attacking mentality we saw early on in the season.
This truly is for coaches, players too, but coaches. It's a sneaky time of the season when it comes to, I know that you know that I know that you know, right? Because you get 2 or 3 games of film and then all of a sudden you got something out of the preseason. But then when you get into 7, 8, 9, and 10, like those free runners, defensively on the quarterback, those probably will be taken away. Things that you were getting earlier in the season. You got Oliver and Sherfield Sr. wide open, so you're getting stuff still. But you know what I'm saying here? This is kind of a meaty part of the season for scheming, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think you got to be careful a couple ways. Going on the road last Thursday, PA, I thought, we weren't expecting to have, the craziest atmosphere that we've seen on the road. I coached at SoFi Stadium quite a bit, but when it was 14-14 and kind of going blow for blow, score for score early on in that game, the noise ramped up a little bit more. And I thought, in that second quarter, we just had some self-inflicted, and a lot of it having to do with, maybe some of the things we're asking our guys to do, trying to, transition from verbal cadence to silent cadence, all those things. But when you start talking about just scheme this time of year, there's enough inventory that you want to try to constantly be evolving. You want to kind of constantly be showing different things off of looks that you've had success with, but not at the expense of your guys going out and executing. And, I have a ton of confidence in our guys. I know there's been some dialogue just about the consistency, of our ability to move the football and score points, but, really going through it line by line, PA, if we don't, cause ourselves to go backwards, either pre-snap, false starts, illegal formations, or the post-snap things in the holding world or anything like that. If we don't go backwards, I don't know. I don't know if I look out on the field and see us not envisioning us not moving the ball down the field, because that's what we've done when we have not gone backwards. And that's an easy thing to say. It's coach speak to say, if we just don't, if we just don't have any self-inflicted, we're going to be fine. But with our offense, that's the case, because we do feel a ton of confidence to go execute and the way our guys are playing.
The Naylor drop at the 7 was obviously massive, and I mean, you love him, and you featured him in the preseason. You put him in a big spot. Now we got Brandon, the former Ram, out there playing before him early in the game for whatever the reason, or playing along with him. And that drop, what do you say to somebody like that, either on the sideline, on the plane, or at the facility?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to make that play more than Speedy. I thought it was a really nice job by Sam climbing the pocket. And what happens when you get, kind of that on schedule, off schedule kind of feel is those interior linebackers are underneath coverage. They kind of start to get put in a bind. Do we go up and try to tackle Sam Darnold, or we've got a spaced out concept with Speedy, with a very, very good chance to catch and run and probably go score in a critical moment in the game. And like I said, Speedy's been somebody that I have so much confidence in because of all the things we've seen him do right out here on these practice fields. But then this year he's taken it to U.S. Bank Stadium. He's taken it to the Meadowlands in the opener and made some plays that, quite honestly, not anybody in our locker room or on our coaching staff has been surprised he's made. That was just one that I know he'd love to have back. And we won't blink when it comes to getting Speedy involved in game plans. And clearly, with Justin and Jordan, both being the featured focal points, Speedy, Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield. Like, I just feel great about the depth of that room, PA. It gives us the ability to have guys doing a lot of unique jobs to help us move the football.
Kevin O'Connell, 9 to noon, from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Big hug with McVay at the end of that game. Good to put that one to bed, right? Just move on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's one of my closest friends, and he got the best of us on Thursday night last week, and I told him, look forward to maybe seeing you guys again at the end of all this. So wouldn't mind getting another chance at playing those guys.
In what ways, Kevin, does Darnold's natural movement skills help a situation when you lose a key offensive lineman?
I just think it's critical that we don't build a mentality around relying on that, PA, because then that's where you can really see some plays where Sam's trying, to create so much that we could have some pretty big negatives. We had a 13, 14-yard loss on a sack. We had another significant loss on a play pass sack. I just think it's important that we still build within the confines of rhythm, timing. I'd like to, try to get the ball to our playmakers in space, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. It'll be great to have 87 roaming the field again out there, roaming the middle of the field. It's a huge bonus for our offense. But all of which, I'm excited to see Sam continue to do what he's done, which is, move the team and make some high quality throws. I think we mix that in with, a little bit more of a transition type fast break offense where we can get the ball out, get the ball in space to our guys, and not ask Sam to hold the ball in that pocket, play with that rhythm, timing, and decision making that I think has really gotten into a pretty unique place. I think he's third or fourth in the league in quarterback rating and improving every single week. And my expectation is that's going to continue to happen throughout the season. I've been really proud of Sam.
With TJ Hawkinson, different situation than 2022, but I would imagine you're quite excited as the play caller to have him back. And I can't figure out who's more excited, you or Justin Jefferson. And Justin has Jordan and Aaron Jones and all that kind of stuff. But I'll never forget that FedEx game, man. I mean, TJ had been here like 4 minutes. You target him 9 times. He catches them all for 70. Oh, by the way, Jefferson goes like 7, 115 and 1 in that game after he had been a little slow there up to the TJ game. So, you're quite excited, aren't you?
Yeah, I just think, when you think about, the NFL passing game, PA, especially when you've got a guy like Justin, you've got a guy like Jordan Addison, who we absolutely want to continue to find, more and more targets for. And really, when you look at the tape from the Thursday night game, he was the primary on some plays where if we could just find one more click to get the ball off, or we can get that thing out in rhythm, maybe Jordan has an even bigger impact in that football game. But I think when you talk about TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, you're talking about guys that don't necessarily trigger the passing strength, we like to call it, in the defense. Where does that nickel go in a 2-by-2 formation? Well, a lot of times he goes to where the 2 receivers are. So wherever your tight end and said other receiver is, if you want to play all that split safety defense to Justin Jefferson, that's going to require, the Sam linebacker to have a major role in coverage on TJ Hawkinson within zones, within man. You can kind of dictate a little bit just by your personnel and how you deploy them when you have that kind of skill sets and talent. We've done some things over the first 5, 6, 7 weeks here with Aaron Jones to utilize him in the pass game. We'll still do those things, but now we get to incorporate TJ into it as well, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
All right, Kevin O'Connell from his office, not feeling well. He didn't want to bring the disease to the TCO.
It's a little room down there, PA. It's a tiny little room they got you in. I
understand, but the surrogate nature of our relationship is such where you could lick your finger and wipe my eye, and I would be okay, and I will permit you to do that. It's a Talk Back Tuesday, and here's this week's.
Good morning, Coach. This is Ron Rogers from Dallas, Texas. Awesome start to the season. So excited. Great to see everybody playing well and just see the morale and just see the excitement among the players and the fans. My question is, after these tough 2 losses. How do you keep the morale high among the team to get them to continue to buy in, to continue to get them excited, so we can continue to win games and get back on the winning track? Thanks for all you're doing.
And thanks for the talk back from down Dallas, Texas way. The only thing I could add to that is the last 2 were emotional, and the last 2 were I mean, the way the last one ended, super emotional, and you could have won both the games too. And baseline here, we still are 5-2, but off what he said, keeping everybody focused and on point. How do you do that? Yeah,
I think it's important that you acknowledge. You always have to acknowledge the truth, which is we had a tough 5-day stretch, PA. We put a lot into that game against the Detroit Lions at home, and I know our fans did as well. That was an unbelievable atmosphere at US Bank. Felt like, the ebbs and flows, the back and forth, and we end up, losing a game that, we poured our heart and souls into, and then it just so happens the scheduling gods, have you going out to the West Coast to play another game 4 days later. In many ways, the challenge of that could be something you can seek 1,000 excuses in. But facts are the facts. We didn't play well enough to win either one of those games. We didn't do enough to win those games versus what I would say, are 2 very good football teams, and the Rams especially, when they get Cooper and Puka back, and when Matthew was kind of on one, as we like to say, we knew we were going to have to play really well to win that game, and we didn't. So here's where we are. I stood in front of our guys yesterday, and I think we can acknowledge a lot of things as true. We, tough 5-day stretch. We're still a 5-2 football team with a ton of things that we can all do better. We can coach better. We can execute a little bit more consistently. All the things that our guys will go back to work and continue to improve on. We've got great guys in that locker room, PA, guys that love football. They're smart. They're tough. They can't wait to get on to the next op. But make no mistake about it, this is a good Indianapolis Colts team. They've been incredibly competitive, and even some of the games they've lost this year. I think Shane does a great job. Gus is a really an experienced play caller on defense. We're going to have to play well. But it's going to happen, PA, because of our willingness to understand that through adversity, I think the seeds of really doing something special can be planted if you handle it the right way. And that's my expectation. That's the emphasis I put on it with our team, and my history with this group of guys is when I emphasize something, I not only get a great response, but they knock it out of the park. So let's go to work this week, and let's find a way to improve.
Lastly, the NFC, it's an utter meat grinder. Holy cow, the NFC's a complete meat grinder. So many good teams all over the place. I'm sure you saw the end of that Maryland Miracle with Noah Brown walking off in the end zone. What about the NFC, man? Just quality squads all over the place.
Yeah, it really is something. Thinking about just the emergence of, teams that, I think we're probably one of them, that people, I don't get too caught up in, what's said about our team or any other team before the season. You prepare your teams just like 31 other coaches are doing, and you're trying to be as competitive as possible. But I'm old enough to remember the days where people were calling this team a lot of things that didn't necessarily have anything to do with the reality of who we are. And facts are the facts right now. The NFC is full of really good football teams both that maybe were the teams that everybody thought would be ahead of the pack right now, getting healthy, like the Niners and Rams. I think the Arizona Cardinals and JG have done some really impressive things out west. I mean, you can't say enough about the job Dan Quinn's doing with Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, and that just overall team, the electricity that was in that building the other day. We haven't really, the Eagles seem to be playing some good football right now. And, oh, by the way, we haven't talked about the best division of football, which happens to be where we currently reside. And it's going to be an absolute grind all the way down to the very end. We're going to have to overcome some adversity and play great football and try to give ourselves a chance not only to punch a ticket into the dance, but to try to have a chance to win the division.
Well, you mentioned health. Your health matters too. So maybe that bed you have adjacent to your office, maybe you lay down on that and relax a little bit on this Tuesday. And you know what? This could be a brilliant opportunity for the likes of Ryan Cordell and or Grant Udinsky to put together the best the best offensive game plan that they possibly could put together on this Tuesday. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we're all going to go right back to work right now.
Yes, sir.
I look forward to doing it with these guys. I got some great coaches and very much looking forward to getting back to U.S. Bank Stadium, and we'll see you Sunday night.
Yep, for sure. Thank you very much for the time, and I hope you feel better soon, okay? And with Ekstrom, ask him how the wife and kids are, and I'll see all you guys soon, okay? Thank you.
You got it, PA. Thank you.
See ya. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings from his office. OKO ain't feeling too well right now, but was kind enough to jump on the Zoom machine. Whoa, Zoom. He flew far away with us on the 9 to noon radio show, and we have some thoughts off some things that he said that we will share around the corner. And we thank you for the talk back also. That was super cool from down Dallas, Texas way. Also, speaking of down... What are you doing?
I'm just taking a picture of you on the TV.
Which one?
Well, exactly.
It's combined 6 chins that the Vikings Entertainment Network is good. Thank you, Curly.
It's a lot of chins. They say they've said that for years. TV ads, 2 chins.
Yeah, well, I'm split screen, which means with 3 chins, you just saw 6 chins and a combined 2 eyebrow. So it's time to pause. But we do have some thoughts of some things Kevin just shared, and we will share those. Well, now you got the Vikings Entertainment Network just messing around with your boys, so I'm going to get out of here.
That's why they're the best.
Yeah, they are the best. They are the very best. There's a non-Caribou cup that I have here in my bag right now that I could end this whole thing and just hold it up right here. You might have a problem. All right, here comes Max with the cash thing.
The Fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword GRAND at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword GRAND. Enter it now at KFAN.com. Get ready to laugh until you cry. Nick Swartzen, the hilarious star of Reno 911 and Grandma's Boys, bringing his side-splitting stand-up to the State Theater on January 10th. Don't miss your chance to hear his outrageous stories and unforgettable jokes live. Tickets are on sale now. Get the full details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
All right, Minnesota Wild at Sid the Kid this evening. That's a 6 o'clock puck drop at FM 100.3 KFAN. Timberwolves hosting Luka, Kyrie, and the Western Conference champions. That one's available via the dedicated Wolves channel on the free iHeartRadio app. You can listen to the Wolves and Alan Horton on the Wolves app this evening. And you can listen to the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night against the Indianapolis Colts. Pregame at 5. The Boom right around 7:15 or 7:20. And off that, once again, we do thank Kevin O'Connell for joining us from his office via Zoom because he's not feeling well. And, with Kevin, I've just done so many of these X's and O's or one-on-one bits over the course of his time here that, when you hear things Kevin says, if you can fill in KO's butts, you can get the answers to a lot of the equation. So in other words, you got to fill in the butt for Kevin O'Connell. So it'll be like, bam, 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 bam. He'll stop, but he will lay enough out for you so that you can provide the comma and the but. So it'd be like, this guy's doing this and this guy's doing that, and he'll stop. But he would want to go on and say, this isn't working, or this isn't working, but he's just not that kind of guy. And the point being here with filling in KO's butts from the conversation that we just heard, you can just really tell they're missing Blake Cashman.
Yeah.
You can just really tell. I mean, we don't transcribe these interviews, but like I said, we have heard enough of them to know when he goes down certain roads, if you just ponder the opposite a little bit, well, that may be some things that he's intimating. And when he when he suddenly dropped in there, Ivan Pace Jr. is doing a great job of the green dot, calling the defense. Okay, but it has a feeling to it that from an organizational standpoint, a communicative standpoint, in getting things squared away against offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who, by the way, he coordinates an offense that has Jared Goff, who might win the MVP, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Oh, wait, David Montgomery throws. And if you single Jamison Williams with the wrong guy down the field, that 9 route, as they say in the business, is going to get behind you for 75 yards. So that's a lot. And that's a lot without maybe the heart and soul of your defense and Blake Cashman, leading tackler, play caller, whole thing. And then, like Kevin said, he said Matthew was, quote, on one, end quote. Stafford was feeling it last Thursday and looked fantastic. And with Kupp, Nakua, and Kyron Williams, well, that right there, from a communicative standpoint, there may have been some things that were missing, specifically, as he said, with the middle of the field, but he stopped it there. So there is a KO but, where there's a comma, then a but, that you just we get to fill in on our own off his tone and off the information that he dropped into the equation. They're missing Cashy.
They are missing him. And I go back to after the Lions loss, and it was Lieber who interviewed Shaq Griffin after the game, and Griffin himself, we talked about this last week, PA, it was the first time you had heard really anybody vocalize that there were miscommunications on defense.
Right.
And
good point.
And so again, when you're winning and these mistakes are happening, which you assume that every defense has a miscommunication, a busted play, and when you get the victory, in a lot of cases, that means you also got out alive making some of those mistakes, winning while learning. That was the first time after the Lions game that we had heard anybody this year vocalize, yeah, we had some miscommunications. And it goes back to, I think, Blake Cashman and how important, how amazing is it that he comes up from Texas. And you think about maybe the opportunity or the lack thereof that he got with the Jets, and he's making plays and again, getting more opportunity and more run with those Texans last year, has the 20 tackle game, all of that. All of that is super positive. I'm not trying to diminish Blake Cashman, but the idea that he comes in kind of on a team-friendly deal over the course of free agency, and we're thinking, okay, we're getting younger, we're getting a little more athletic in the process, and Gessling was hitting on it earlier. Flores, his impact maybe in personnel and decision making with who comes in. Yeah. But how important and vital Cashman has been to this team, and without him, how quickly things drastically changed. It's crazy.
And speaking of B-Flow, the defensive coordinator started his press conference today 20 minutes earlier than usual. Hey, we get B-Flow on the show. B-Flow on the show. B-Flow on the show.
The mistakes are minimized. When you lose, they're magnified, but the mistakes are always there. And right now they're magnified, and they should be. And we've got to, because of that small margin for error, we've got to, continue to improve, these little details. And I think once we do those things, we'll play the type of football we're
Nords.
Play.
Yes, sir.
He ain't happy.
No, he's not in a good mood.
He ain't happy.
Do you kind of miss like a week and change ago where he had that smirk on his face because
Oh, the Purdy bit?
Oh.
Yeah, I just want you to see my eyes, the eyes that you couldn't see through, and I just beat you.
They're just...
Brock's just like, cool scheme, dude.
Football. We talk about those win or loss.
Man, he's mad.
How it's received.
I smiled.
A little bit different.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Win versus
Covenant karma.
Versus a loss. But we got a good group. It's important to them.
What about Cashy?
They want to do it right. They want a
nice ass sweatshirt he has on too. Damn.
Who would he rather face?
The schematics that
Flacco or Richardson?
call
not even
for
close.
high football IQ for each one of them individually and collectively.
That guy be tapping out of the game because he's confused, not tired.
And again,
what do you
think? It's a small margin for error. I can't.
Richardson
really
every time.
Not even close.
Yeah.
In this league, you talk about parity.
Flacco's like 90
players, good coaches. really across.
But I think he
board.
likes the idea of highly touted kid,
again this week.
and just that moment where the magic trick, the rabbit gets pulled out of the hat, the rug gets pulled out from under him.
Purdy and Shanny.
I think he's foaming at the mouth for that.
Danny Dimes made him
There's a
Danny
discipline
Penny.
to getting those things right over and over and over and over again, and it can become monotonous to set an edge over and over and over again. When if I jump inside, I can make a play, or
stick to your keys.
Stick to the keys, man.
Relative to a player's position, those are things we just got to get done over and over and over again.
Well, were there any common threads to the lack of pressure on Matthew?
Yeah, no Cashy.
Pretty well protected for a good part of that.
No Cashy's the whole
Nothing,
common
they
thread.
did a
I
really
think
good
so.
job.
All right, let's pull it out.
All right. He's not happy.
No, his countenance is that of seriousness. Why wouldn't it be? But again, off yesterday.
In manufacture, C could be contentious right now in terms of the defensive coordinator wanting to get a W.
I'm glad you said that with manufacture. And thank you to Sioux Cup Manufacturing for a sponsorship of 9 to noon, not only during the course of the week, but when we're here in Eagan at the Vikings facility. Key could be context, too, because the context would indicate the team is 5-2, whether you hate it, whether you love it, whether you're in between. 5-2 is not a bad mark from which to come. And 9 to noon this year, we didn't really play the game for the first time in a while where we went like Giants win, this one win, this one loss. Simply because it's like, off what I was sharing or what I was sharing with you on and off the microphone or on the microphone is I'm cool with Darnold. I'm like, from what I've seen in organized team activities and training camp, I'm cool with Darnold. I don't know how cool we're all going to be with Darnold, but, it ain't that thing from the Jet trying to put Robbie Anderson on a double move and get Tommy Tremble or Ian Thomas on a shallow cross on a big third down. This ain't that. So we like that. We didn't know what to think about the defense because there were so many new players, but we didn't go through the win-loss thing. However, now that we've seen 7, with or without Cashy, Hawkinson comes back. With or without Darisaw, time to plan for it, and where it happened during the game Thursday, and you got to get around it in the second half. But, I think they should win definitely their next 3 games. Indianapolis here, at Jacksonville, at Tennessee. If you can pull that off, man, you're 8-2.
You are 8-2, and the defense being the focal point of these conversations after these 2 losses.
And you'll be favored in every single one of those games.
You will be favored in each of those games. Now, it's interesting, though. Darnold hasn't really been a massive...
He's hard to figure out.
He is hard to figure out.
Yeah, that's why I got pissed off a couple of weeks ago. The super special 11-step drop where his feet kept going all over the place like Cab Calloway. And then he's waiting for Addison to bust loose one center of the field, which Jordan did. It would have been a 65-yard touchdown. Step into it, Sam. He didn't. That's not the time to display how strong your arm is because his arm is incredibly strong. But he just stood there, and it was an arm throw for 55 yards. If he throws at 60, Addison is gone. But, off that, and then the Jefferson fastball, you changed my face on that one in the Lions game, pointing out the Addison bit, which actually, because I didn't hear O'Connell's press conference, I was pissed off Sunday night, so I didn't go back and watch it. And I should have. That was lazy on my part. But you pointed out the Addison was in the lane bit. So then I went back and watched it, and I was like, yeah, he had to throw it that high. Now I understand. I don't necessarily think he had to throw it that hard,
Still
but he
could have
did.
gotten a little touch on it.
Right, but it's after some wonky moments with Sam. He goes 11 of 17 with a passer rating of 140 the rest of these games,
Yeah, that's the confounding part for me about Sam is how quickly this thing starts. It's like a freaking rocket lifting off. And then what we see later in these games. You mentioned Addison, though. TJ, good for JJ. Is TJ bad for Addison when he returns on Sunday?
Oh, cool. Now all caps, free 3.
Well, yep. Free 3. I don't know what to make of it. But this defense
can't have anything to do with Will Reichard, whomever. That might have been Jordan who said that. Okay, whatever. But
free
anyway.
three.
Yeah, free three.
Free three. He's been saying it for 4 years, he says. So I'm looking for Addison to be in the right lanes on Sunday. I'm looking for Sam to find the right touch. I'm looking for TJ and Justin Jefferson to handle their business.
Yep.
And I'm looking for this madman that we got on our TV here in TCO Studios to concoct something for Mr. Richardson.
Final segment, 9 to noon around the corner. Please don't leave. Casting the gaze the way of Sunday.
Free three.
And off filling in the KO butts. I'm dicey on Cashy. Damn, I'm dicey on Cashy. And I think Flo Jacko is the quarterback for the Colts. What about you?
So you're out on Cashy
leaning
another game out with the toe.
Yeah. And they're going to run the ball a million times, too, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I would actually...
Adonai Mitchell, that rookie, I haven't watched him play much wide receiver this year, but in watching, I'm about halfway through Colts-Texans. My man Mitchell, if you kick to him, you better be careful. He's a nice kick returner.
No, they do well down there. I'm still leaning Richardson. I think that it would be an interesting power move to nix Richardson, despite the negativity in the last game.
Yep.
But either way, your A topic is mine on the run game bit. I'm worried about how that looks without Cashman potentially.
Thank you, Sioux Cup Manufacturing, for the love on this Egan Tuesday. And for Eric Nordquist and Max Fuller, I'm Paul Allen. Thank you very much for listening to 9 to Noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. The Gophers are scorching. They're red hot. PJ Fleck is on the Fan to talk about it next.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.